Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Moving Right Along, a Muppet movie podcast brought to you by toughpigs.com. This is the podcast where we watch Muppet Treasure Island 2 minutes at a time and talk about it a lot. I'm your host, Anthony Strand.
And I'm your other host, Ryan Rowe.
And today we are joined by a longtime Tough Pigs pal, frequent guest on the podcast. It's been a while since he's been here, but we're delighted to have him back. Guest, introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody. I'm Louie Pearlman. Should I talk a little bit about myself? Should people?
Sure.
What's the deal?
By all means.
In terms of the world of Muppet fandom, I've written a whole bunch of episodes of the Foley and Friends podcast, the Sesame Street podcast, and the podcast Ready, Set, Ride with Elmo as well. Please check out my Grouch Fest episode, one of my favorite things I've ever written in my life, my fave. And when I'm not writing stuff for Sesame Street Muppets and geeking out with people like Ryan and Anthony, I'm a instructor of comedy at the Second City in New York City and going to 1,001 punk rock shows with my boyfriend.
You
Awesome.
do so many things.
Yes, jack of all trades, master of none.
A busy man.
Yeah.
So today, Louie is joining us for minutes 59 and 60. We have reached the hour mark in Muppet Treasure Island.
Still no Miss Piggy, by the way, at the
Still
hour
no
mark.
Miss Piggy, yes. In these minutes, though, Long John Silver sings his only number, Professional Pirate. So most of what we have here is the song, and we will kind of go through it. But first of all, I just want to ask you both up front, how do you like this one? Louie, how do you feel about Professional Pirate?
So as a number, I think it's really fun. And, I think that this is going to be a bit of a bigger answer about these two 90s Muppet films in general.
Mm-hmm.
Is I think that a lot of the performers were having more fun creating new characters to play with than they were with the actual troupe of Muppets playing roles. Because really, like, the performances of all the pirates in this number reminded me of all the Muppet Pirates, reminded me of how much they all shine and how fun and unique and what a great flavor they all have. As opposed to, forcing all of these characters that are really strongly written into really shoehorning them into these roles, which is the big issue that I have with both Muppet Christmas Carol and Muppet Treasure Island, is that I think that for me as a Muppet fan, they're actually rather challenging to watch because I don't really get to see the characters shine in the way that I want them to.
Sure, yeah. Awesome. That's a great answer.
Yeah. No, and I think you're right, because this is a good example of this number of, like, if you watch the whole frame, you can see the pirate Muppets just kind of being silly, like in the corners on the sides of the frame while the song is going. I like the song. Listening to it 2 minutes at a time like this and kind of dwelling on the lyrics, it's a very clever song. There's some good, clever lyrics. And just the concept of Jim has just called them all pirates, and Long John really wants to convince him that pirates are good and noble. That's a pretty funny idea for a song in a musical.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So we start out with the group of pirates singing. We come in the middle of a line, right? Which is "body sound by working out of doors" is the first line that we hear here. I'm not going to go through every line in the song. I don't think we need to do that. If either of you have any lines that I'm skipping over that you want to talk about, please, by all means, jump in.
Well, I will just say that right away he's lost me, because I've had jobs where I had to work out of doors all day, and no thanks.
Yeah, so you wouldn't be a pirate, Ryan.
No, I don't want to be a pirate.
Yeah.
No. But shortly, Long John says, "Upstage, lads, this is my only number," as I nodded to at the start. And that's such a fun Tim Curry moment.
Yeah. Yeah, this is wonderful, and a nod to Tim Curry's long career in which we'll get into because I'm a big Rocky Horror guy, so I want to
Right,
talk
yeah.
a little bit about Tim Curry in that context. But his long career, both on stage and in film, this is such a great moment for that. And it is interesting to have him in this movie and to only give him one number, which in itself feels a little like a lost opportunity with making him the main human character in the film, other than what's his face, the boy.
Kevin Bishop.
Yes.
Jim Hawkins.
Jim Hawkins. Yeah.
Yeah. But and certainly, Michael Caine sang a little bit in Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
And he's not.
But that's not what he's known for.
No,
right.
And he's certainly not the worst singer in the world. He can carry a tune, but
yeah.
Tim Curry is a tremendous singer.
Yeah.
And,
well, that's what he's known for. I would argue that that's not what Michael Caine is known for.
Right,
I'd argue
right.
Michael Caine's utilized better in Christmas Carol than Tim Curry is.
It's not in the top 5 things you think of when you think of Michael Caine.
No.
Right. But anyway, so after Long John says that, Sweetums and Calico Jerry pick him up, and I really like that it's one human and one Muppet carrying him around.
Totally cool.
They do move him upstage, like within the frame, which I like.
Yeah, they actually move him.
Yeah.
And
this whole thing, like the self-awareness of this, reminds me of the tone of Great Muppet Caper.
Oh, sure,
that's lovely.
Hey, a movie, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is my number. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Your voice is dubbed and all.
Yeah. Yeah, all that.
Tim Curry's voice, of course, not dubbed.
Not
also
dubbed.
a difference
In fact,
from Charles
we
Grodin.
learned that he sang it live on set when they shot this scene.
Right.
Oh, of course he did. Man, myth, legend.
Yeah.
Yeah. So continuing the song, Long John says, "Now take Sir Francis Drake. The Spanish all despise him, but to the British he's a hero, and they idolize him." And this is a bold choice to assume that the family audience is like, yes, of course, Sir Francis Drake. We all know him. We all know his
even
deal.
that most or all British people idolize him. I mean, maybe back then when the movie takes place.
Yeah. So Francis Drake died in 1596. So a couple of centuries before this is set, even was his lifetime.
Yeah. He was buried at sea, apparently. That's what
he was. Yeah. But he's most famous for having fought the Spanish Armada in 1588 as part of His Majesty's army. He was a privateer who was contracted, I guess. But yeah, I didn't know any of that. I had to go read that on Wikipedia.
No, me too. I also learned that he was the first Englishman to circumnavigate the globe.
Yeah, pretty exciting for him. But again, like there's a song about Magellan on Animaniacs. For circumnavigating the globe. There's no song about Sir Francis Drake on Animaniacs, so how was I supposed to know?
Yeah.
That's my question.
Well, you were supposed to know by looking it up for this podcast.
That's right. There you go.
Well, that's okay. So this movie is educational.
Very, I mean, to drop a reference like that is great because it's not treating its audience like they can't.
Like morons.
Exactly. Yeah. It's treating its audience very intelligently, which is great.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Or you can just figure it out. Like, oh, Sir Francis Drake, he must have been a famous British sailor of some sort.
Yes.
And then I also read, where did I read this? On a website called Royal Museums Greenwich. It also said some Spanish mariners were so afraid of Drake that they believed he practiced witchcraft.
Sure.
Drake was rumored to be in league with the devil to possess a magic mirror that allowed him to see the location of all ships in the sea.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Good for him.
Yeah.
That's cool that he had a magic mirror.
Yeah. I mean, so they say.
He had it. It's a fact. All right.
You're convinced.
Yeah, I'm convinced. So then the song goes on. The pirates say, "Hey ho ho, we're honorable men." And then this is another example of what Tim Curry brings to this movie. Is that he cuts in, "Oh, I love it. 'Tis poetry in motion," which is such a nice aside. And he tears into it with such, like, he's constantly improving the movie.
Yes.
He's constantly adding a little more. Yeah.
Yeah. And so good for him. But then we get a line that I'm going to be grumpy about, which is before we lose our tempers, we will always count to 10. Which is, they did this, like, that feels so like the running with scissors joke earlier in the movie. Where it's like, here's something we say to children. We're saying something that a preschooler will recognize. And that's the joke.
I wonder if there was a conflict about that with this film, about what the audience was that they were appealing to. Because I do agree that might not be a line that would have been said in the heyday of like a 70s, early 80s Muppet production. You know? Yeah. It's interesting.
Yeah, maybe not.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think. So it's rhyming with honorable men. Yeah, there's all kinds of other words that rhyme.
Yeah,
with
N
men.
is not hard.
Yeah,
and
it could have been anything. Yeah.
Yeah. And then what else happens in this movie? But then you see, this is what we're talking about with that identity crisis in this movie. We have that joke, which is a very preschool joke, and then it immediately swings to, on occasion, there may be someone you have to execute.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Long John knocks over Bagoonie with his rifle.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, we're like making jokes about murdering.
Just before that, as they're sort of getting in position for that little bit of business, Bagoonie is holding a jug and he takes a sip from the jug and then wipes his mouth. I just love those little touches. Like, good work, whoever that puppeteer was. I see you.
Yeah, it's nice. It's a nice touch. But then the rhyme with execute is, Clueless Morgan says, when you're a professional pirate, you don't have to wear a suit. And then, I wrote down, it's Old Tom and Bagoonie look at him like he said something crazy. And then he says, what? But that just seems like a normal joke to me. Like,
yeah, no, that's
it's
no
like
different than anything else in the song.
Exactly. Like, it feels like they wanted that moment to be like, this is something wild. And then they just forgot to make it that. Which is kind of this whole movie.
Do they think it's weird because they are wearing suits, because they're wearing their little pirate shirts and jackets and things? Do you think that's why they think it's weird?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
because in fact you do have to wear a suit.
Yeah, you have to wear a little your little puffy shirt.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, and I don't think that he's interrupting them, because I did consider that, but they're like, pirates are just kind of jumping in with lyrics throughout this whole song. So
yes.
He's not the only one doing that. Yeah.
No, he doesn't really cut them off either.
Yeah.
He has his little turn.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. They just really wanted this moment of characters staring at the dumb guy, but it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't.
You're right.
It should be something dumber.
Something dumber or stranger. Yeah.
Yeah. But then another series of characters get the spotlight, including that same guy I just said, Clueless Morgan.
Yes.
Mad Monty says, I could have been a surgeon. I like taking things apart, which I do really enjoy how genuinely bloodthirsty Mad Monty is in this movie.
Yeah.
Like, this guy just wants to murder people so bad.
And that's what he thinks surgeons do. Like, their job is to just like cut people open and that's it.
Yeah, they don't put them back together.
Exactly. Yeah, and he breaks open a coconut as he says that.
Mm-hmm. And then we get two just Bob Hope, like straight down the middle, no target, no audience, just lazy. Just Polly says, I could have been a lawyer, but I just had too much heart. Everybody hates lawyers.
Yeah, and I know. I mean, I bet a lot of the parents in the audience laughed at that one.
Yeah, a lot of the parents in the audience laughed at Bob Hope too. Yeah. And then Clueless Morgan says, I could have been in politics because I've always been a big spender, which is like such just these clowns in Congress.
Those
am I right?
In Congress. I
know they're just spending our money.
They're just can you believe they keep spending and spending?
The halcyon 90s when that's all we had to worry about.
$1 million toilet seats.
Yeah, they won't stop. They won't stop. So I don't know, whatever. I don't.
Yeah, non-issue lines.
Exactly.
Yeah. Let's get on. Like, yeah, they're totally like, let's get on with the rest of this verse
they're
here.
Just very obvious.
Yeah. And then we get a human, which is Black Eyed P, and he says, "And me, I could have been a contender." And it's a pretty good Marlon Brando impression.
Yeah, and a funny thing to have in this movie.
Mm-hmm. And what were you gonna say, Ryan?
Well, it's not the voice of the actor playing Black Eyed Pea. The voice is actually Bill Beretta doing his
Is it really?
Marlon Brando impression dubbed over.
Oh, that's
actor.
funny.
Oh, fun. I didn't know that. That's great.
Yeah.
I feel like I Could Have Been a Contender was, in the culture at the time, one of those comedic tropes that people who wrote stuff for kids and family audiences would pull from, where kids would have no idea what it was from, but we had already seen that impression done in like 7 different like cartoons or movies written for us.
Yeah. Did
Right,
Robin Williams
right.
ever do I Could Have Been a Contender?
I
It feels like
mean,
he must have at some
I'm
point.
sure.
Well, and what's weird about I Could Have Been a Contender, which is from On the Waterfront.
On the
which is-
Waterfront, 1954.
Yeah.
Yes, but Robert De Niro as Jake LaMotta also does that speech into a mirror in Raging Bull.
Yes. I thought it was a Raging Bull reference.
Right.
Yeah.
So like I think that brought it back into the zeitgeist in the 80s, you know,
Sure.
more, and then it just like hung around.
But when's Raging Bull from? It's from
1980.
Raging Bull is 1980, so it's 16 years before this movie.
16 years before
Which
the
is
film.
which
Great.
is a lot more recently than 42 years.
On the waterfront, of
you know?
course.
Yeah,
Yes.
You know.
Yeah. This is just one of those 90s things that happened, I feel, all the time.
Yeah, you're right.
And kids were just like, I should know what this is, I guess.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I mentioned Animaniacs earlier.
Oh,
but, like,
yeah.
But like the Goodfellas sketch had
Good
had
feathers.
had the De Niro pigeon, but then also like their boss man, the God pigeon, was a Brando impression.
Well, he was Brando,
Right.
and then the rest
Yeah.
of them were just imitations.
We're just the
of-
Goodfellas. Yeah.
They were just the Goodfellas.
Yeah.
A movie that none of the target audience of that show
had seen,
had,
right.
had seen.
not.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
But I'm sure that I Could Have Been a Contender came up in one of those sketches, at some point. I'm
I'm
it
sure. Come on.
You
yeah.
know.
And Marlon Brando Godfather impressions on Saturday morning cartoons were a dime a dozen. That was
Right.
like the go-to thing to do.
Make you an offer
Yeah.
you can't refuse.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
I like to drink mine more than I used to, and it's like juice or something.
Totally. Yeah.
But also, speaking of that joke being everywhere, the pirates all laugh like they know what On the Waterfront is and
Oh,
who
yeah, they've
Marlon
seen that
Brando
movie.
is.
Of course they
Yeah.
have. Yeah.
You know?
I mean, that is one of the best things about the Muppets, is that they do exist in sort of this world out of time
Yeah.
where every reference is okay
Right.
all the
Yeah.
time. Yeah.
Well, except there's one pirate who doesn't think it's funny. Oddly, because there's a cut to Polly who just kind of makes a face, like narrows his eyes.
Uh-huh.
So why doesn't Polly think this impression is funny? We don't know.
I guess he's never seen it.
Oh, that's why he feels left out.
Yeah, he's never seen On the Waterfront.
Yeah.
And then in the extended version of this movie, the rest of them sit him down and explain the plot of On the Waterfront for
So there's
20
this
minutes.
boxer, and he's all washed up. Yeah.
Mhm. And they're like Elia Kazan, not a great guy, but made some good movies. Okay.
Wait, but how would pirates feel about Elia Kazan?
I don't think pirates would be on board with naming names.
Yeah, no,
Like,
probably not.
The whole
That's
controversy
right.
of Elia Kazan is that he like sold out his colleagues.
And that's
you know?
Yeah.
okay. So that's kind of what the song is all about. That pirates are actually like they belong to a brotherhood, and they
Yeah, and they don't.
maybe
they
that's
don't
why
snitch.
Polly's-
they don't sell each other out.
Maybe
Maybe
that's why
Polly's-
Polly's
yeah.
disgusted. Yeah.
Polly's like, "How dare you bring up an Elia Kazan film during our lovely
Wow.
number?" Yeah,
Right?
it's probably what's happening there. Yeah.
I hope so. That is
Mhm.
that's canon as far as I'm concerned.
Someday I
and-
hope somebody, probably not us, but I hope somebody makes like a playlist or a letterboxed list of every movie that we've ever mentioned in some weird tangent on this podcast.
That would be an honor if so. Like,
Yes.
And then you guys should watch all of those movies and do a podcast about all of those.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
2 minutes at a time. Every movie we've ever mentioned on the podcast.
Yeah, it'll be a 700-year-long project.
Yeah, starting with Cloud Atlas. That's where I propose we start. All right.
Oh, fabulous.
But what else? So then actually coming up, we get Long John stops singing and then addresses Jim directly.
Yeah.
Who Jim's been tied up this whole time, and Long John. There's a few more lines in between there, but Long John says, "Well, look at us, Jim. We're a festival of conviviality."
Love that line.
And then he laughs, and they all laugh. Clueless then says, "Yeah, congeniality." And Polly corrects, and Polly continues just being disgusted.
Yeah.
Polly is like, why are we doing, malapropisms? Why are we mispronouncing words?
Yeah.
How dare you?
I continue to just have a greater appreciation for Polly on this watch through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's the Muppet performer for Polly?
It's Kevin Clash.
Okay, cool.
And I think maybe somebody said this on the Discord, that it's kind of just like a variation on what he was doing as Benny Rabbit on Sesame Street at the time. Just a very similar voice and very similar, just like cranky, like
just grumpy about everything.
He's had it with everybody. Yeah.
I mean, Kevin Clash, one of the things that he is really good at as a performer is his characters have a lot of tude.
Yeah.
So there you go. Yep.
Yeah. And so that's actually where the song portion of this clip ends.
Yes.
For the last 10 seconds, we cut back to the Hispaniola, where we see like our old pals from the Muppet Show for 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Squire Trelawney says, "We're ready, O Capitan."
I like that because it reminds me of Fozzie addressing Kermit as "Sir" in some of the, like on the Muppet Show.
On the Muppet Show, yeah.
Like, yes, sir. Yeah. So now it's yes, El Capitan.
O Capitan. And Kermit says, "Good. You men guard the ship while I'm gone. You men being Fozzie, Bunsen, and Beaker."
Yes.
And
with their swords.
With their sword, which we don't.
Don't give those guys swords.
Right.
Come on. It's it's a bad situation. Especially, I mean, Beaker with a sword. That's just Lawsuit City. Well. Yeah. Oh my God. Right. Yeah.
But Kermit assures them it's not going to be long. We'll be back as soon as we get Jim. And then he says, "Cast off, Mr. Beaker." And Beaker makes some noises in agreement, and that's where we end. Which I really like that Beaker is the one in charge of letting go with it.
Yeah.
I haven't heard Steve Whitmire's Whitmire? Steve Whitmire's Whitmire. I haven't heard his Kermit in a while.
Sure.
And I forget that he sounds like the most falsetto guy in the world comparatively compared with Jim Henson. Yeah.
And like, Matt too, honestly.
Yes, absolutely. Matt is lower. This I was like, oh yes, these years with the Whitmire Kermit sounding like this. Yeah.
Right. So any other thoughts about these 2 minutes before we close? Louie, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I mean, very cool that Tim Curry sings it live. I think that's great. It's interesting at this point in his career and with this song, he doesn't really get a moment to show off his vocal chops as much as I would like. He has such a range and he's very dynamic, which we're going to talk about a little bit. So it's sort of a bit of a surprise to me that this number doesn't end in a big, with some sort of flourish for him.
It's not a demanding song.
It isn't particularly demanding. Yeah. So I do find that sort of interesting with it. And then, just really nice to see all those Muppet Pirates, because I'm guessing that is what the cast of the film had the most fun with as performers, is sort of building and shaping those characters, and the style that they all had, I think is just really is the thing that's the most interesting to me about these 2 minutes.
Yeah, sure. I can see that. Ryan, any other thoughts or screenplay stuff before we go?
Yeah, a few things. We kind of skipped over these lines. I just like the staging and choreography of when Long John sings "We'd never stab you in the back," and then this Muppet Calico is sort of shoved into the frame with a knife in his back, and then Long John immediately pushes him back out of the frame. Then
that's a fun sight gag.
Yeah, then he says we'd never lie or cheat, and this bird pirate, I forget if this guy has a name or not, reaches over and steals a watch out of Bagooni's pocket, and then just a second later, Long John steals it out of the bird's hand. So it's just a lot of nice little, and I don't know, how many takes did they have to do that, because everything with Muppets always takes longer and takes more times, more attention.
Complex, yeah.
Yeah. Because I think that's all done in one take of him singing those lines.
I believe so.
then yeah, what else? I found on Muppet Wiki, in addition to the Muppet performers and Tim Curry, whose voices we're hearing on this song, apparently Barry Mann, the co-composer of the song, is also one of the singers. So I guess probably one of the background pirate voices.
That's fun.
Yeah. And then from the June 1st, 1994 draft of the screenplay, it's interesting. The content of this song is there, but not in musical form. It's dialogue exchanged between Long John and Jim, where Long John is doing the same thing, just trying to convince Jim that being a pirate is noble. But a few of the same points come up. Like he does mention Sir Francis Drake, but just not in rhyming lyrics. That was the only thing from the draft. I did have a couple things from the listener comment treasure chest.
All right, let's go. Let's hear it.
A few weeks ago, we talked about Sam the Eagle's feet and whether they've always been yellow in every depiction. And over on the Tough Pigs Discord, Kyle and Tony brought to our attention that Sam's legs and his feet can be seen sort of in the background of the movie theater scenes in the Muppet movie. And it seems like they're blue, like they're sort of out of focus when you actually see his feet there. But I do want to follow up on that, so I'll probably be writing an article for the Tough Pigs website about Sam's feet, because that's the kind of thing we do.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And also, I've noted a couple times that Tim Curry's sinister grin in this movie reminds me of the Grinch.
Oh.
And Discord user Guibrarian133 reminded me that there's a scene in Home Alone 2 where there's a shot of the Grinch smiling on TV that transitions to a shot of Tim Curry grinning. So, because he thinks he's just like busted Kevin McAllister for using a stolen credit card. But that is almost certainly why I connected Tim Curry and the Grinch in my head, because I've seen that movie many times. So there you go. Thanks to Guibrarian for that.
And probably at a relatively impressionable age, right? You probably saw it when it was new. You were 11
I saw it in the
when
theater.
It came out.
Yeah.
Have you guys talked about Barry Mann yet at all on the podcast?
When we read Barry Mann and Cynthia Weil in the opening credits, we did. Talked about their career a little bit.
Yeah. Good, because they wrote a lot of great. Well, they were just really great songwriters. They wrote a lot of really, really, really amazing, formative stuff. And she passed away recently, Cynthia Weil, about a year ago.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, they were big brill building people that, and they also wrote Somewhere Out There, which is, I'm sure why Barry Mann got hired to do this.
They both did this together.
Oh yeah, Mann and Weil wrote this together.
They wrote this together.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I'm sure this was a fun one for them.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. It seems like it.
Yeah, pretty different from their pop songs, but
absolutely. It would have been fun to. I would have loved this just to be a Mann Weil jukebox musical.
Sure, yeah.
Kermit and Piggy singing "You Lost That Lovin' Feelin'." Oh,
sure. While they're hanging upside down.
Lost opportunity. Yeah. Yep, lost opportunity. Yeah.
Sure. And that's actually a nice segue to another thing you wanted to talk about, Louie. Almost this whole clip is focused on Long John.
Yeah.
And you wanted to discuss Tim Curry's career as a recording artist. We've talked about his work in musicals, but not like his own music. So what do you got?
Well, after Tim Curry was such a success in Rocky Horror and had this audience of these cult devotees that really loved him, Lou Adler, who was a record producer who he produced a lot, he notably released Carole King's Tapestry album. That's like a big credit of his.
Great. Yeah,
he produced Rocky Horror, the American stage version and the film version, Lou Adler. So Lou Adler, basically struck a contract with Tim Curry and had him cut a few records. And he had one song that was a bit of a hit for him, I Do the Rock, which is a great song. And then, other than that, he never really transcended his, time as an actor, stage actor, film actor with his recording career, which is a shame because he does have such an emotive voice. But I also do understand that it's highly theatrical. So I do understand why maybe it wasn't quite the right pop vocal. But I Do the Rock is just like such a killer pop rock song. So yeah.
Sure. Well, let's hear a little bit of it.
Yeah.
Baby Ruth and Dizzy Dean, Best and Colin Cordray, Little Mo, Virginia Wade, Pistol Pete and OJ. I've always liked DiMaggio and Rodney's pretty cute, you know. I could never whack a ball with such velocity. I do the round.
So what I love about that is, like you said, he's theatrical. He's playing a character here. Like this is not Tim Curry's. Like this is, if he just sang a song in what is his normal speaking voice, it would not sound like this.
That's true.
Right.
He's doing, like, he can't help but be an actor even when he's singing.
Yeah.
And I kind of wonder if that's why acting is the thing that stuck for him.
Sure.
Because you sent us these two songs, and we'll hear the second one in a bit. But like, he's doing very different things with his voice. Like, there's no like Tim Curry sound based on these two songs.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Well, that was another issue I think with the albums a little bit, is that they didn't really settle on a specific genre for him, and a lot of the songs just sort of fall into this kind of nebulous world of like singer-songwritery, like pop, new wavy, funk kind of stuff that was like late 70s, early 80s, just sort of a little more generalized.
Yeah.
And maybe if they'd zeroed in, that would have helped a little bit.
When I watched the video of I Do the Rock that you sent us, my first thought was like, oh, this sounds like David Bowie from around this period, or maybe a little later than this period.
Mm-hmm. The horns and stuff. That's sort of fun, like
especially.
Yeah.
But then also in the video, like, I guess this is what you're talking about him acting, but like he has the swagger of Mick Jagger.
Very much so. Which he did with Frankenfurter as well, which is definitely
there's a lot of Frankenfurter in that performance.
Influenced by Mick Jagger.
Yeah.
As well, for sure.
Yeah. So watching that video, I was really thinking like, oh wow, why didn't Tim Curry become a big rock star?
Yeah, I think that he had other things he wanted to do, and I just also think that he didn't quite pair with the right people for these records, which is a shame because this was a pretty big hit. I Do the Rock. I'm trying to look up now where it charted, but it did chart. This did get radio play.
I Do the Rock.
Yeah, and I don't know if you guys listen to the lyrics at all, but the lyrics are all references to other rock and roll stars and cultural figures from like the last like 30 years or so of when the song came out. Yeah.
Great. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, which I think is awesome. I Do the Rock. I'm looking for the charts. So the album it came off of reached number 53 on the Billboard 200. So that's not horrible.
Okay, that's in the U.S. or the UK, or does it say?
U.S. The U.S. Billboard.
Wow, yeah.
And then I Do the Rock reached the Billboard Hot 100. And one of the things that they did to publicize these is they would show the music videos for them before screenings of Rocky Horror.
Oh, that makes sense.
That's a good idea.
So I mean, it's very savvy. I mean, they were really trying to build, Lou Adler and Fox were really trying to build a cottage industry around Rocky Horror to varying success because you can't really control. Rocky Horror was such a unique, specific thing. How it worked and what it was.
Lightning in a bottle. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I'm happy to talk about that more. But about Rocky Horror more because it's really such an incredible cultural phenomenon from that time, and it was so formative for me growing up. Huge, but yeah, the spin-off stuff was not as successful. Tim Curry tried to have a recording career. Little Nell tried to have a recording career. She plays Columbia in Rocky Horror. Notably, she sang a song that's one of my favorite songs that's nobody's ever heard of, called "See You Around Like a Record," which is just such a great song. So look that up, Muppet fans. It's so good. Just a killer song. And then they even, released a semi-sequel to Rocky Horror with Richard O'Brien wrote it. Richard O'Brien and Richard Hartley wrote it. It's another musical with Brad and Janet.
That's
it's set Treatment,
the movie?
Shock Treatment.
Yeah, I've never seen it. I've always been curious about it.
Yeah, I'm a big evangelist for Shock Treatment, but my opinion about Shock Treatment is it is so wildly different than Rocky Horror. That you just need to go in just treating it like it's its own thing, and then it's very fun.
Okay.
But it in no way feels like Rocky Horror at all. Yeah.
So probably not what anybody was expecting after falling in love with Rocky Horror.
And Shock Treatment has its own cult following at this point, and there's floor shows that are done from time to time and that sort of thing for Shock Treatment. And there was a stage version of Shock Treatment adapted for stage that was done in London a few years ago, which was the first time anybody attempted to adapt it for stage, but it certainly doesn't have the staying power and the popularity of Rocky Horror.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. And then you brought one more song, so do you want to set that one up as well?
Yeah, this one is not a well-known song. It was important for me growing up. It was on a really great Rocky Horror box set that came out, I believe, for the 15th anniversary of Rocky Horror. That was a CD box set, and this was a track from Rocky Horror Rarities, it was called. And this is a song called We Went As Far As We Felt Like Going.
I did you, you did me. We went as far as we felt like going. Took a ride, satisfied. We went as far as we felt like going. Had no restrictions, stop or go. Just killing time and took it slow. It was completely understood. A one-night stand wouldn't do us good. We did a yeah.
And it's a cover you found out today.
Yes,
right?
I didn't realize that. I thought that it was an original. It's a LaBelle cover, which makes a lot of sense with how funky it is.
Yeah, I actually listened to her version too, and I enjoyed it. So, you know who this reminded me of a lot? Do you know Richard Thompson, the singer-songwriter Richard Thompson?
Yeah.
This one felt a lot like his work to me.
Sure.
Like, the vocal delivery especially just felt like the way he kind of uses his voice as like a droll, like everything almost sounds sarcastic,
Yeah. There's a lot of attitude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed that. I'm a big Richard Thompson fan, so I enjoyed that because it reminded me of him.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I loved this song growing up. I thought it was very sexy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you also discovered that the song was later done by the Pussycat Dolls in Shark Tale.
Yes, it was done by the Pussycat. Yes, the Pussycat Dolls did a recording of this.
Yeah.
And they didn't change the line, I did you, you did me. We went as far as we felt like going. That line has not changed.
Wow.
But that's because DreamWorks is so edgy.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, of course.
This is from the studio that brought you Mike Myers saying, "I have to save my ass" in a children's cartoon.
Ooh.
Yes.
Oh,
wow.
See, now I have to decide if I'm going to beep that or not when we publish this episode.
You should leave that in, but beep Shrek. I don't know if I said Shrek. I don't think I did. But anyways.
But yeah, after these few albums, he went on to, continue to have a very successful, stage and film career.
Yeah, of course.
Led him to Muppet Treasure Island.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he is. He's a legend, and it's always nice to revisit him in any capacity, because I do think for a lot of people he's a really inspiring performer, and especially with Rocky Horror in particular, I think that it's a film that uses I feel like I need to say this. It's a film that uses some descriptions and verbiage that maybe isn't particularly modern when it comes to like the transgender community, and some transgender people take issue with that. Some transgender people really love Rocky Horror. So it just depends on how it affects the individual person. But at the time, I think that film was a depiction of living your life in a different way that a lot of young people really needed, and it's such a watermark in terms of inclusive, weird cult cinema. It's just I just think it's the best. Love it to pieces. Yeah,
awesome. So thank you so much for sharing all that. But it was so like we've never done a just somewhat deep dive on an actor's outside work.
No, I didn't even know about that
podcast.
Most of that stuff. So
yeah, well,
thank you.
That's why you have this weirdo on.
We love it. We love it. One more thing that I meant to bring up that Ryan and I had talked about, and I forgot to say it earlier. In the TV show The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel on Amazon Prime. So that was a show set in the late 50s and early 60s, but every episode, the closing credits had a song that was newer than that period playing over the closing credits. Usually something from the 80s or 90s, whatever.
Do they use a song from Muppet Treasure Island? That'd be amazing.
Yes.
Season 5, episode 5, in which the main character, Midge Maisel, accidentally commits an act of piracy by falling overboard holding someone else's wallet.
And the episode is called The Pirate Queen.
Right, in international waters. The song is this, Professional Pirate, over the closing credits. And
is it this version of it and
yes,
everything?
It's
That's
this
great.
recording from the movie. And I remember watching that episode when it was new and just like marveling at the fact that I'm hearing Jerry Nelson and Kevin Clash, and Bill Beretta in the closing credits of a TV show, like a brand new TV episode for no reason.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was delightful. So I have to point that out.
Yeah, it's funny that you said marveling, by the way. Somebody would point that out if I did.
Because Mrs. Marvel.
Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
Also, I know I have to say, I said earlier that in the closing credits they feature songs newer than period, and I know we have certain listeners who will tell me that many of the recordings featured on the show were newer than it's if the scene's set in 1961, maybe that Ella Fitzgerald recording is from 1963 or something.
Ooh.
I know we have listeners who will remind me of that, and I'm aware of it.
There you go. It's always good to get ahead of these things.
What I mean is that in the closing credits, the songs were intentionally, anachronistically newer than the show.
Right. Yeah, that was such a fun... Because I'm pretty sure I saw that episode the day it was released, and it was like the song started in the end credits, and it took me a minute to actually register, like, oh, wait a minute, this is the song from Muppet Treasure Island. Yeah. And then it was fun just to see on all the pop culture websites and social media as people were seeing it, like, oh yeah, that's Tim Curry from a Muppet movie in this week's episode of Mrs. Maisel. So that was exciting.
That's very funny.
Yeah. So finally, our last thing, Louie, you've kind of touched on both of these things already, but we ask all of our guests 2 questions. The first of which is, what is your history with this movie?
My history with this movie is it came out when I believe when I was 14, and I really wanted to like it, and some of my friends liked it more than me. But I had a really hard time with this era of the Muppets. It just wasn't my thing. I didn't think any of it was funny enough. That's sort of my big take, and I think that I really love the anarchic comedy of earlier Muppet productions. And that is interesting because I know that this was written by Jerry Jewell for sure.
Yeah.
And then who wrote it with him? Was it just him?
Kirk Thatcher.
Thatcher wrote it? Yeah, Thatcher's great.
and a guy named James V. Hart, who
Interesting.
as we've discussed, was like specialized in literary adaptations. He wrote Hook. He
Cool.
wrote Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula movie.
Oh, cool. That's interesting. There's something about both of these films that's never quite worked for me, where I think that they feel like they're a little funnier than they actually are, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That's a hard thing. And, I now that I'm an adult fan, I do have an understanding that the company was having a hard time, of course, after Jim Henson passed away in terms of staff morale. And I do feel like it's trickled somewhat into these two films, that there is a vibe. And certainly Muppets from Space. I mean, come on. Yeah, guys. Yeah. And I do think ultimately that I don't know if there was ever a real regroup for this very, very talented group. There was really a troupe of performers at this point, writers, performers, creators, and they were just, I think, pretty stunned and feeling, somewhat left afloat with Henson's death, which I really, really understand. And it's sad, but all of these projects, I think that they all needed a little more focus. And I think even as a teenager, I was feeling that. I feel like that goes for the three post-Henson films and for Muppets Tonight as well. A lot of gems in there, a lot of really, really good, fun, classic stuff. But overall, this is not a period that I recommend to people who want to jump in.
Sure.
To be honest, I like the films from the 2000s more. That's the kind of fan I am. Yeah.
And meaning the two theatrical movies or like the TV movies from?
Oh, the theatrical movies.
That makes more sense.
Yeah. And in retrospect as well, the series as well, which at least was taking risks with the characters. Yeah, sometimes succeeding, sometimes failing, but it's just it allowed the characters for growth. This was a very strange period where it felt like all of the characters and their development were encased in amber. And I don't think that that's what the original troupe of Muppet performers would have really wanted with the characters post-Muppet Show.
Yeah, sure. Good answer. Yeah. And then the second question is, and you kind of answered this already, where do you rank it among the Muppet movies?
Well, it would be pretty low.
Sure, yeah.
Let me do my ranking. I'll try my best to do my ranking. So, number one for me is pretty controversial. It's Take Manhattan. I love that movie. Number two for me is Muppet Movie. Number three is Caper. And then I would say number four would be Muppets 2021. Or, sorry, 2011, right?
2011,
Muppets 2011. Sure. Then probably Muppets Most Wanted right after that. Mm-hmm. Then probably Christmas Carol. Then probably this. And then probably Muppets from Space. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. That makes sense. So I'll say that we've had a number of guests on this podcast.
Yeah.
Who either grew up in New York or have chosen to make their homes in New York.
Yes.
And your number one pick is not at all controversial.
Oh, no.
Among people who live or have lived in New York.
I feel like Muppets Take Manhattan is one of the reasons why I moved to New York.
Right.
So,
and like we've heard that from other people on the podcast,
For sure. Yeah. But if you talk to general Muppet fans, I feel like the main consensus with Muppets Take Manhattan is that the Muppets spend too much time apart from each other.
Yeah.
It's too sad. And that it doesn't have the pace or sort of the energy that the first two films have.
Sure.
It's different.
Sure.
Yeah, but different. I think it's cool. I think it's taking some interesting risks.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely more divisive than the first two are, I think.
Yeah.
But I mean, I love Ryan and I both love it. We spent that whole season being like, everything's great.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, that was so fun to join you guys to talk about that one. And for the listeners at home, I don't have a problem talking about this. I'm so not interested in... I watched it a few years ago with my partner, and it was like totally fun to rewatch, but Muppet Christmas Carol, you guys messaged me and were like, when do you want to be on for Christmas Carol? And I was like, skip me this time, guys.
No
I'm sorry.
thanks.
I'm not interested. And the main thing that brought me back for this one is not only speaking with the two of you lovely guys who are the best, but also Tim Curry, who I did want to talk about on a podcast. Yeah.
Which you said to me in that message a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
When I messaged you about Christmas Carol, you said, I'll sit this one out, but get back to me for some Tim Curry talk.
Yeah. I mean, I don't need to go on a Muppet podcast, which is the Muppets are one of my most favorite things in the whole world, and just like slag, you know.
Right.
Muppet Christmas Carol, I'm just like, okay, guys, all right.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it has been truly a joy to have you back.
Oh my gosh, wonderful to be back, guys. Thank you. It's been my pleasure.
So thanks again for coming on. And listeners, thank you for listening. You can find Tough Pigs all the time on the internet at toughpigs.com. We're on Facebook. We're on Bluesky. We're on Instagram. We're all over the place. You can always find us. You can follow us on Patreon. You can become a patron of ours there. You can email us at movinrightalong@gmail.com to send us your favorite Tim Curry recorded tunes. You can follow Ryan on Blue Sky at me, Ryan Rowe, and on Letterboxd at Movies Are Neat. You can follow me on Blue Sky at Durwood Clapper and on Letterboxd at Zeppo Marxist. Louie, where can our listeners find you and your work online?
I'm at Louie4711 on all social media stuff, so you can find me there. And you can also check out some of the stuff I'm working on at louiepearlman.com. And of course, pop on to Audible and listen to those Sesame Street podcasts, because that feels like the most related, obviously, to this podcast. Yeah.
Right. Awesome. All right. So yes, listeners, by all means, follow Louie, a delightful person. And thank you again for being here. And thank you as well to Morgan Davy for designing our logo, because I didn't say that yet. And listeners, thank you for that positive review you're about to give us, and for joining us next week for another episode. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Liz and Dick and Britt and Liza, Jacqueline, Kate and Farah, Meg and Roddy, John Travolta, Governor Brown and Linda, Interview and People magazine with Rhoda and the Queen. It must be really frightful to attract publicity. I do the